Hello, thank you for joining us today. I'm calling the meeting to order. The first item is presentation of the SCADA upgrade project.
Pardon me, Madam Chair. Is the agenda doesn't post it, but it would be appropriate to call for any public comment.
Okay. Is there any public comment?
No public comments.
Thank you. Then we can go to item 1. Mr. Eddie Hernandez and Mr. Elias Quintero.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Mr. Elias Quintero. He is our SCADA manager. And what we wanted to do was upgrade our SCADA system. It's about 5 years old now. It requires a major upgrade, and along with that, the hardware to run the new system. This system will also integrate closely with our OMS system and our AMI system eventually. One of the major pieces that needs to be upgraded is on the system. Actually, there are a couple of pieces that will affect the upgrade. The historian, which is kind of like the database that houses all the information, that needs to be upgraded. So we need to move to the new version. And also there are a couple of bugs in it that basically we've done the patching that was recommended, but at this point they're saying the OSI, the maker of the system, is recommending we just move to the next version, which is clean, and that'll fix the historian issue and the bug issue. So, and again, it's a 6-year-old system. This is one of our major systems. We're going to get into a little bit of what is a SCADA system in a minute, but that's the main reason is we want to. For most of our major systems, we upgrade every I'd say between 4 to 6 years. So about every 5 years, we do our major upgrades of the financial system, the customer information system, or SCADA systems, because these are some of our major systems. And the next.
Before we proceed, I just wanted to make sure that, these are some of the things, so, our cybersecurity system. So we're talking about costs and things of that nature. So if there's any details on the intricacies on the issues, or please, I would caution, and at that point, if we can go to diverge with council, we can refer to closed session because of security issues and things of that nature. Right now, he has a global knowledge of what is SCADA systems and things of that nature, but any specifics, please, we'll take it to close.
Please.
So what is a SCADA system? Just I don't know if you're familiar with the acronym SCADA. It stands for Supervisory Control Data Acquisition. And what it is a system that allows our energy control operators that manage the electrical loads around the city. We have 15 different substations. It gives them visibility on all the different loads, all the feeders. It allows them to make decisions on when we need to change load from one substation to another, or something's overloaded. Even during outages, they are able to determine where they can go with that load, and gives them the ability to make decisions at the moment on the fly. So it's important for them to have that visibility. And the other part is the control, supervisory control. Gives the ability to control feeders remotely from our data center here, or the backup data center. And as well, it stores all the historical data so that it can go back in time, monitor any of the events, and they can learn from the events and make decisions for future use as well from any historical data. We have this both in electrical and water, but this is the electrical system that we're trying to upgrade. Okay? Any questions on that? No? And then the next slide is just an overview of the SCADA system. As you can see at the bottom level, layer 0, we call it in a typical control narrative. The layer 0 is where all the sensors are at, all the instrumentation, and then that gets connected through telemetry, either it's fiber telemetry or radio telemetry, up to our data centers through our switching equipment, networking equipment, and then from there that information goes out to our data servers. It then gets sent to the operators through graphical screens where they're able to see, we call them one-line diagrams, which is really like a representation of the different feeders. They'll be able to look at the loads of each transformer, each breaker status, etc., and they're able to make decisions based on that. And then from there, we're able to store that data and use it for future use. So in few words, that's a typical SCADA system. Eddie?
Let's see, what do we got next? The basic cost of the system, which is budgeted, the OSI services are $710,000. The OSI licensing for some of the new pieces that we're going to add is about $64,000. The hardware in total is about $255,000 for a total budget of $1,028,837.52. We did come in on budget, just barely underneath budget, so we're doing good in that respect. You're going to see two items coming to the board meeting. One will be for the OSI services, and then it's the services and licensing.
Service license.
And then the second piece will be for about $150,000 of the hardware. The remainder of the hardware we'll purchase separately through our normal contracting. And then this is just a breakdown of the three different pieces if you wanted to get into a little more detail. The services, what's included in the services, what's included in the licensing, and again, what's the type of hardware that we're going to be purchasing. And that's it. Any questions?
So the hardware, you don't go out for bids, right? You already have a contract?
Yes, we're going through the state contract, DIR.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, the only comment I have, and it's always a concern of mine, is the cost. In this case, we have over $1 million that's required to upgrade the system. You talked about buying some of these products from the state board, off the buy board, or is this all being bid out?
So the OSI services and the OSI licensing, that is sole source because of the manufacturer that does that only sells through themselves. So that's just going straight to them with a contract. And then the Dell equipment is going through the DIR, which is a state contract. And the other part of the equipment, which we haven't finalized the design yet, we'll get to there eventually, is below the threshold of coming to the board, but they will be going also through a state contract.
Yeah, and Marilyn, have you guys taken a look at this? Are you guys in agreement? I mean, I respect what they're saying. It's over $1 million and it needs to be upgraded. But have y'all taken a look at this? Their
So I
proposal?
just want to elaborate a little bit more. OSI is a sole source provider, and it's one of the systems that we utilize here, and a lot of utilities across the nation utilize. So that's something that's saying Microsoft is OSI. OMS, for those of you who are not familiar, is the outage management system. So right now we have a very limited view of when an individual customer comes down, and integrating our OMS systems, SCADA systems to AMI will complete the whole picture here. So what they're talking about is, some of the system hasn't been upgraded in 5 years. Think of it as patches that Microsoft issues, and with your computers at home. Here at a much larger scale, they're actually being upgraded. So the costs here are on a state bid on the costs there. If there's any concerns, we'll be happy to take a little bit, provide more elaboration, but this is on the agenda for the meeting here. But I feel comfortable with the information that's here.
The other language or the word that I heard is when they're recommending the purchase or a relationship with a sole source. That means there's only one person that can provide some particular hardware or software. I always have concerns with that. There's nobody else. There's no other competitive bid.
I'm going to defer to who else can provide these type of systems, but OSI is a sole source.
The way the process works is on our major systems, typically whether it's financial, customer service, or electrical like this, typically I'd say every 15 to 20 years, because you do want to stick with a solid company. Since these systems are so integral to our day-to-day operations, we don't change them out frequently. But about every 10 to 15 years, we will go through a process of reevaluating, okay, do we want to stick with this vendor or do we want to move on? And I think that's what happened about 5-6 years ago. 2015? In 2015, we switched from a different company to this company. But once you're in, so long as you're happy with the way it's working, you tend to keep that system for, I'll give you an example. Granted, the accounting system has been in place for 26 years. We do upgrades to it, but it works. Now, I know for a fact that they're thinking about looking for a new system just because it's time to take a look. The customer information system, we went live with that in 2002. So it's 22 years that we've been working. That's a success. That's actually what you're looking for. You don't want to be changing these systems because of the cost. This is just an upgrade. If you actually were changing it out, it'd be a much larger cost. And plus the implications to training everybody and all that kind of stuff. So long as the systems are working well, we tend to keep them. And that's typical throughout most large businesses. So it's really kind of a success story in that way.
Okay, I understand, and y'all are making a recommendation based on your experience with this equipment, this hardware, and the upgrades. I'm fine with it. Dr. Somoda?
I'm fine with it. This was a very good presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, item number 2, presentation of Brownsville Public Utilities Board rebate pilot program implementation.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Chairwoman and members of the board. My name is Mirta Vasquez, and I'm the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Coordinator. And I have here with me Danielle Guerra, who's with our pre-treatment department. And we're here to discuss or present to you the Grease Interceptor retrofit rebate that we are introducing. So the agenda consists of an introduction. Why is pre-treatment required? I'll also go over what FOG is, the effects of an improperly sized pre-treatment system, why introduce a grease system interceptor rebate, and I'll cover terms and conditions. So BPUB Pre-Treatment Department, in partnership with the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Department, we're working together to create a grease interceptor retrofit rebate to incentivize BPUB water customers to upgrade their existing sub-500-gallon grease interceptor. Why is this pre-treatment program required? It is to satisfy compliance with applicable state and federal laws required by the Clean Water Act of 1977 and the general pre-treatment regulations for existing and new sources of pollution. In addition, to protect the health, safety, and general welfare of the general public and publicly owned treatment works personnel, and to enable the POTW BPUB to comply with Texas pollutant discharge elimination systems, permit conditions, sludge use and disposal requirements, and other federal and state laws. What is FOG? So, as described in the City of Brownsville Non-Domestic Water Pre-Treatment Ordinance, FOG is fats, oils, and grease are defined as organic polar compounds derived from animal and/or plant sources that contain multiple carbon chain triglyceride molecules. All are sometimes referred to or herein as grease or greases. What are the effects of an improperly sized pre-treatment system? Clogging. If the grease interceptor is too small, it may not effectively capture grease and other waste materials, leading to clogs in the sewer lines. This can cause backups and overflows, resulting in damage to the BPU lines and surrounding infrastructure. Environmental contamination. FOG, along with other waste materials that escape from an undersized pre-treatment system, can contaminate the surrounding soil and water sources, posing environmental and public hazards. Odor. Inadequate or improperly maintained pre-treatment system can result in foul odors emanating from the wastewater system, negatively impacting the surrounding area's air quality and public health. And the increased maintenance costs, constant clogging and backups due to an improperly sized pre-treatment system can increase maintenance costs for BPUB and the customer as more frequent cleanings and repairs to the affected lines and systems are required. So here are the benefits of a grease interceptor rebate. It'll provide up to $1,000 to qualifying customers who retrofit the traditional 50-gallon grease interceptor to a minimum 500-gallon grease interceptor. It'll also benefit BPUB infrastructure. A correctly sized grease interceptor will safeguard our water and wastewater infrastructure. It'll reduce service calls. On average, service calls are approximately $1,400, minimum of 2 hours. just specifically for VOG. Funding. No new funds will be required. The EEC department will reallocate unused fiscal year 24 commercial rebate funds through the pilot program. We're also in communications with BCIC to continue our collaboration on how we can access additional funds to continue this program. The effective date, July 1st through September 30th, which ends our fiscal year 2024. Here are rebate terms and conditions. A rebate will not be paid if BPUB cannot conduct the required pre- and post-site visit audit for verification. The rebate program only applies to a grease interceptor retrofit. A new unit must meet a minimum 500-gallon liquid capacity grease interceptor and all sizing and design criteria listed under the city's non-domestic wastewater pretreatment ordinance. The address of the account must match the address of the installation. Applications must be completed and submitted within 45 days of installation. Recipient must be a BPUB water customer. BPUB may discontinue the program at any time. Rebates are contingent upon fund availability. Only one rebate application per customer per address will be accepted. And rebates will be in the amount of 50% of invoice cost up to $1,000. Questions?
What's the typical cost of a retrofit?
Do you have the typical cost of a retrofit?
To my understanding, you're asking the cost to go from a smaller system to the larger 500-gallon system. We don't have the exact cost since PUB does not do the installation or sells these devices. There are multiple different licensed plumbers, depending on their costs and the cost of the system from the manufacturer that you purchase from. Some ranges that we've seen based on customers' word is about $3,000 to $5,000 for the purchasing and installation of the system.
But
Okay.
it could be a lot more depending on what they have to do in order to get it in, like they have to break ground or, they might have to redesign a restaurant, for example, a kitchen.
This is correct. It is going to depend on the location of the facility and where the existing plumbing lines lie, and depending on what other interferences there may be, concrete, parking lots, if there is any additional destruction of property that needs to occur, any breaking of ground for the system to be installed. We are talking from going from a grease trap is typically the same size as the plastic containers you would get at Target or H-E-B to store your Christmas decorations in, to a system that's about 5 feet by 5 feet by 6 feet in size.
Thank you. When, on one of the slides said, on average, service calls are approximately $1,400. Who pays for that? We pay for that?
BPUB pays for that, yes.
At which point does the cost of clogging drains get passed on to the businesses that are involved in the clogging?
That would only occur if that business is found to be in noncompliance and put through the surcharge program.
And how often is that done?
We go through surcharge estimates pretty regularly, where we collect a wastewater sample, testing for BOD and TSS, and sent to an analytical lab for testing. We show that surcharge estimate to the customer, and typically around that point, if they were, for whatever reason, not in compliance, they see, oh, okay, this is going to cost me a little bit more money for the surcharge, and since the surcharge is typically higher than the cost of compliance, they fall into compliance. But for actual surcharges, we only have about 5 businesses out of the overarching 1,000 food service establishments in Brownsville currently actively on surcharge.
Okay.
Yeah, we're one, so we get checked every month. Yeah, I think well, first of all, it is an existing program, right? Or is this a new program?
It is a new pilot program.
Okay.
Mhm.
I guess the monies was existing from other areas, is what you were saying, yeah.
Existing, right. On slide number 7, it's coming from the existing commercial rebate fund.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, my view is, I think we've identified this as an area and opportunity. Obviously, the cost could be significant. So I'm glad that we created a new program in order to address that. So that, from the customer perspective, I would say is great, right? We're reacting to what's going on and doing our best. I think $1,000 is pretty significant. I'm not sure what the correct number is. You know, as we move the program forward, if approved, I think we can learn and see, you know, can we go higher? Does that make sense? And based on service calls, right, that might be some variable that you can use to estimate that cost. And then you mentioned BCIC. I think that's a great idea. I think it's been brought up before, you know, just to help some of the businesses have less friction in setting up. So that's my general feedback. I think it's good overall. I hope it materializes, and as we learn, we can improve it.
Yeah, I appreciate that you're bringing this forward. And as Mr. Martinez said, being able to listen to our clients and accommodate as appropriate, I think is very useful. I think this should be heard by the full board. It would be good. I just have a recommendation on page 5. You know, instead of a lot of text, include more pictures. Okay. And that, because the pictures are pretty powerful. They really, you know, it would be useful for you know, anybody watching live as well, you know, to see what the problems that arise when we don't take care of you know, this pretreatment system. It really affects everybody, and the problems, the higher costs end up being passed on to everybody else. So it's important to have this in place. So thank you, and I think we're good.
I just have a quick comment or a concern that I'd like to point out to both of you and to the administration. Now, in this slide, it says, let me see, Brownsville PB water customers to upgrade their existing sub 500-gallon grease interceptor. It tells me that there are a lot of, there are some businesses out there with sub 500-gallon grease interceptors. That's a concern for me. And then we're going to provide how much money? $500 if they upgrade? What's the rebate?
$1,000 rebate.
$1,000. Marilyn, really, this is an item I think we need to bring into executive.
Mr. Rondoni, if I may.
How.
If I may add to staff input, the reason why there's some grease interceptors that are sub 500 gallons is because there was a change in ordinance that upgraded from a 50-gallon minimum to a 500-gallon minimum. And this is going to actually allow us to change those systems that have not been updated since that change.
I know, Connie, and I'm listening to you, but given our current circumstances that we're in regarding this topic, I would like to see if we can really bring this into executive. Paul, I don't know if we can, not right now.
Mr. Rondon, sorry to interrupt once more, but this is again for grandfathered systems that were approved by BPUB.
I understand.
We can take it into executive at the end. How about that?
I'm not suggesting we do it right now, but we're facing certain specific circumstances, conditions regarding this topic. It's just my opinion of one person. I think we should handle it very carefully. And I understand what Connie is saying on grandfathered businesses that had a smaller interceptor. Now we're going to give them an opportunity to move up to 500 gallons, and we're going to give $1,000. But I don't want to really say anything more than that.
To the extent that the committee or the board may have legal issues related to the rebate program, and that's the topic for today, an executive session could be taken today. or if this is something that's more appropriate for the board, when the board is going to consider, if and when the board considers this or the topic generally,
Yeah.
that also, it could also be noticed and
And I
taken to
appreciate
executive.
what they're presenting, and I understand it, and I appreciate Connie's comments, but I think given the current environment that we're in on this topic, perhaps we should present it to the whole board. But we may need to have a further discussion. I really think we should. But as far as this item, moving, is this an item for the next board agenda?
This is actually an administrative duty, but if I'm hearing from the committee that this is not something that would like to be handled by the administration, then we will direct staff, I will direct staff to suspend the program, do not go into until we have a full discussion with the board. And so right now, if the legal concerns are, our council has advised us that we can convene and talk about those things in closed session, and we can do that so that way staff can get direction. If you saw on here, this is a budgetary item that is on there for, with the board's approval, and
Yeah.
we're able to reallocate funds between programs and things that are within the certain categories. And so that's where, with your all's permission, if you'd like to do that, I'll see if somebody needs a motion to go into executive to discuss the legal merits of the rebate program. Would that be appropriate?
Correct, under section 551071, consultation with the attorney, if that's how Madam Chairman, how you'd like to handle that.
I would like to make a motion to go into executive session.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Motion passes? Let's-
At this time, if I may, Madam Chairman?
Please.
At this time, the committee has voted to adjourn into executive session under section 551071, consultation with attorney.
Thank you.
The time is 7:01. Madam Chairman, the time is 7:46, and let the record reflect that Mr. Rendon exited the executive session at about 7:32 p.m., and we have a quorum present to continue the open session.
Thank you. Item number 3, update on Service Center Pool Yard Expansion, Project Phase 2.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members. My name's Marie Leal, and I am the Director of Water Wastewater Engineering and Capital Planning. And today I'm going to give you a brief update on the Service Center Pool Yard Expansion Project, Phase 2. Whoops. Did I clicked the first slide and is it a scroll or? Okay. Oh. Okay, and we'll begin by going over the project location. As you all are familiar with the FM 511 service yard, it's located on the North Frontage Road off of the toll road 550. Immediately to the east, we have our Southmost Regional Water Authority plant, and immediately to the west is Old Dallas Road, so that, and north is directly up. This is just the overall aerial of what our service center looks like. If you see the green area to the east, that's approximately 9 acres that we left vacated for a possible and future expansion of the SRWA. And the area to the west or to the left is the proposed laydown area that we're going to be going over. A little bit of project history. The design of the BPB 511 service yard began in June of 2016. 2 years later, construction began, and the moving to the facility was completed 2 years after that, in 2020. The original design of the service center included a 15% growth capacity in all of the buildings and in the parking areas and also in the laydown yard area. The original laydown yard was approximately 72,225 square feet. Due to recent industry changes in materials and equipment, deliverables, the warehouse department has quickly outgrown the existing area. This is how we started, and these are photographs from the old yard, which is located immediately outside of water plant number 2, just behind this building where we're at. This is the layout of the entire service center, and just so that I can show you the existing laydown area. The colored tan immediately to the north, that triangular area, was the original design area for the warehouse laydown area. Both to the east and west, you see the little hatched green squares. Those are detention pond areas that were required for storm drainage. So we're basically going to be building the laydown area on both of those locations. And the buildings
on the storm.
I'm sorry?
You're going to build them on top of?
No, adjacent, in that vicinity, and I'll show you the next few depictions. There we go. So by 2022, the post-pandemic material and equipment shortages, there was a lot of cost increases and delivery delays. BPUB was in need of additional storage areas, specifically because we were ordering a lot of large transformers and also a lot of electrical poles for the utility. We proposed a 3-phase approach to do it in 3 phases, and we came to the board in mid-2022 for approval of the 3 phases as shown. The board approved for us to start on phase 2. And the reason for that was specifically because that would be, phase 2 would be that large rectangular area where we would store and stockpile transformers and electrical poles. Thus the name of the project. The procurement for this phase 2, it began on August 14, 2023, and the board approved the hauling and loading and equipment rental services to RML Hauling. So RML was able to provide labor and equipment only, a quote for $84,069, to construct this phase 2 pole yard and the ingress-egress roadway areas. Phase 2 was proposed to be 72,329 square feet. It required 4,000 tons of limestone. In this material, we took it from BPUB's inventory that we have year-round, and that was at a cost of $127,160. So the total project material cost for equipment and labor was $211,229. All of the estimates that we had run previous to that came out to approximately $314. So there was cost savings by us using the yearly contract for material, for equipment and labor from a contractor, and by using our own stockpile material, which was subsequently reordered so that we carry on the same amount of stockpile material for our operation crews.
Cool. So you saved about 100,000.
Yes. So this is just a blow-up of what phase 2 and phase 3 look like, so you can see what the ingress-egress pathway of for example, an 18-wheeler coming in would come in where the gate is shown, follow the arrows, and they would deliver to either side, either deliver poles to either side or transformer stockpile them on either side of that large rectangular area. That large rectangular area is approximately 175 feet wide by 425 feet in length. Of course, this area is going to be secured with fencing and gates because these are inventory items. The future operations, where it says future operations additional laydown area, phase 3, this is a future area that is needed by our water wastewater operations crews to also be able to stockpile excess manholes, the large diameter manholes, and other large valves, other large materials that they take up a lot of space from warehouse. Immediately to the east or right of this new area is a current area where we stockpile and park all of the trailers, the lowboy trailers used by both electrical and water wastewater. So the construction of the laydown area, like I said, the dimensions were 175 by 425 feet. And the ingress-egress roadway, in order for an 18-wheeler to fit and be able to maneuver in and out of there, is 30 feet wide by approximately 570 feet in length. The pad took 4,000 tons of limestone, and it's approximately 9 inches thick. To give you an idea, limestone equivalency in caliche, limestone 9 inches of limestone would be the equivalent of about 11 inches of caliche, because the material is denser. There's a culvert, and then pending items to still complete for phase 2 are fencing, some gates, and pole racks, which I believe warehouse is in the process of ordering. And then we hope to improve also and expand the lighting so that we'll have lighting out there. Just construction photos. There was just a lot of hauling and compaction and density testing of the limestone. So that's what the area next to the black fence is. That's 175 feet in width, and then the lengthwise is the 475. Upcoming construction, Phase 2, the fencing that's actually going to be proposed to be brought to the board in our July 8th meeting, and it'll be approximately 2,000 linear feet of 8-foot-high galvanized fence. There'll be 3 30-foot wide rolling gates, and the project was advertised March 30th and April 6th. 3 vendors did submit bids. Garcia Fence Company is the recommended low bidder at the cost of $129,425. But like I said, this will come before the board for board approval. Lighting for Phase 2, as I stated earlier, it will be collaborated with our electrical engineering and our operations department so that we can do this in-house. And that's it for it. Hopefully after Phase 2 is complete, I do know that Warehouse will probably want to pursue Phase 1, which was towards SRWA area, and I'm
On the
sure
right.
we'll bring that before the board for approval as well.
Thank you for the update. Are there any questions?
Just out of curiosity, the equipment's laid out right in the open?
But it will be fenced in with an 8-foot
Yeah,
high.
but just exposed to the elements. Is
Yes,
there
sir.
any?
Yes, the poles
I'm
usually
sure
are.
that that's the poles, and I saw transformers there,
Yes.
and that's obviously they're designed to be outside. But is there anything in particular that needs to be done to protect them, or?
No, I believe that the transformers, I mean, we have operations here, but by the time that they're ordered, they're in line to be put at one of our developments or a subdivision and so forth. And I think the same thing goes with the poles. But the timber poles can last a long time, and then, of course, if they order concrete poles, even more. So, yeah. But
Yeah,
I think
that was it.
almost every utility has them outdoors.
Yeah.
Like.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, item 4, update on airport substation upgrade.
Good evening, Chair, members of the committee. My name is
Good
Eli
evening.
Alvarez. I'm the Director of Electric Ops for Brownsville Pub. And I will give an update on the airport substation upgrade. And so I got 10 slides. Hopefully it won't take a whole long time, but I'll try to get through them efficiently. So here's the outline of the 10-slide deck that I have. So we'll go over where the airport substation is, a little bit of background on that, what the issues are. I think that we had touched on this, the last meeting was in March 24 of this committee. So we'll go over the project and the timelines and the next steps. And if there's any questions, then we'll take those at the very end. So here is the basic location of the airport substation, which is located, I guess, southeast Brownsville and the airport district. So the substation has quietly served the area for more than 40 years. There was an upgrade back in 06, 07, so this is a holdover. It wasn't completely redone. There were some things that were worked on at the airport substation, but the major component, which is the voltage, stayed the same. So it has been challenging to maintain that substation due to its vintage, and so right now we're taking care of that. Also, you'll see some pictures where it shows that with heavy rainfall, there's flooding there. So overall, to actually address some of these issues, we are going to disconnect and store the equipment that we can use again. We'll demo or deconstruct the substation itself. We'll prepare it for the new one, ultimately by grading and the earthwork, and then install the new and reusable equipment. So this is the auto transformer that we are going to retire that currently is housed here at the substation. The old oil circuit breakers and this switchgear will also be retired.
Is that the one on Iowa or
It is on
Morningside or
Central, I think it is.
Central Avenue?
Central
Yeah,
Avenue.
that's right.
So here, this is an older one, and we were concerned about the flooding and the weather event that we had over the weekend, but it didn't get to those levels. But we did make preparations to move the load out of there just in case we did get heavy rains. So we were okay in that sense, but we had a plan, and we executed it. It didn't flood like this. So here's the meat and potatoes of what we wanted to share with you here. Basically, although the contract was approved by the board meeting, approved meeting to negotiate with the contractor, our planning engineers identified a reliability risk for having the station out for the remainder of '24. And so we opted to regroup and plan to install a mobile substation during the project to mitigate that reliability risk. So all that said and done, it's looking like the demolition contractor will start in August of this year, or worst case scenario in September. And they're gonna take approximately 120 days to do the demo work as well as the site grading. So what you will see over the weekend, I guess, is the advertisement for the construction of this airport substation. That's going to be advertised this week, the later part of the week, or the beginning of next week. And it should last for 3 weeks. We're going to have a pre-bid construction meeting on the middle part of July. So that's something that we're looking forward to. We'll have a little bit better update in terms of the start times once we start negotiating with the contractor, if the board approves that. So the next steps, as I had mentioned, we need to square away the construction contract. I put here week of July 1st. That's when basically they're going to start with the submittal process for the bids. Then we need to, as BPUB, we need to finalize MOU with the city to use a property adjacent to the existing substation for a staging area. That's in the works, and we're currently working with the city on getting that squared away. And on a side note, there's some design requirements for the mobile substation itself. So that's on a parallel path, and Brownsville Pub is working on that. So ultimately, we should have a board agenda item for the August 24 Board of Director meeting. So all those things are upcoming, and we're looking forward to those. Any questions?
Thank you for this presentation.
The mobile unit is something that we own?
Yeah.
Okay.
We own that.
How many do we have?
We just have one. We just have one, but it's fully functional.
What's the capacity?
28 MVA.
Will,
It's like a miniature version of what this one would produce, like half of it.
will the change be noticed by our clients? The change, transition to the mobile unit?
Oh, for the mobile unit? Yeah, it's going to be a miniature version of the fence that's currently there. And then ultimately, the fence that's existing right now for the substation, it's going to remain until they're, I guess, 90% complete with the demolition work. So the big change is going to be the fenced area for the mobile substation and maybe some poles. So you are going to see some construction units out there. So you will see poles in the back of the property and in the front of the property to exit the location.
I guess what I'm asking is, will the service be affected?
No, it should not, ma'am. So what we have right now, we should be able to serve the load the way it is right now with the substations that are currently working. They're not going to be constructed or demoed or anything like that. But we want to make completely sure that that we're good on that fact So we're putting the mobile substation just to make sure that in circumstances where, let's say we have a weather event or additional load comes in that area, that we're able to serve them no problem whatsoever. So in terms of service, they should not feel, or our customers should not feel any different.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just really quick, on the mobile unit, what do we use that for normally?
For circumstances like this, we've done maintenance on other substations, and we'll put
Okay.
this up here to be
Yeah,
able to
just because we're in
serve.
hurricane season, I didn't know if that's something we need to contract another mobile unit to have on call, should we need?
Yeah, they were not so popular, but now it's really difficult to get one ordered. I mean, the lead time is like 4 or 5 years. I would be very surprised if there was one available, but we can definitely
Yeah,
check.
sometimes you can have, at least from what I know, a contract to use one, so somebody will provide it for you if you need it.
Gotcha.
So you don't have to buy one, per se, but.
Yeah, we can follow up on that,
Okay.
sir. It's a good idea.
Thank you, Eli. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
And I think we're ready to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I second. Let's go. Thank you,
Yep.
everybody.
Thank you.